Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Nonfiction Insights. Today, we are diving deep into Peter Attia's massive manifesto on longevity, Outlive.
This is one of those books that I feel like everyone's talking about, but it's dense. We're not here for 5 quick diet tips, are we?
Absolutely not. Our mission today is to cut through all that noise and really decode the fundamental paradigm shift that Attia is proposing.
Okay.
It's about moving beyond just reacting to illness and instead proactively maximizing both your health span, so the quality of your life, and your chronological lifespan.
Right.
The entire strategy of Outlive is built on this contrast between what he calls Medicine 2.0 and Medicine 3.0.
Okay.
Medicine 2.0, which is a system we all pretty much live in right now, is purely reactive. And that's its fundamental flaw.
Reactive how?
It waits. It waits for the 4 horsemen,
Yeah.
that's heart disease, cancer, neurodegenerative disease, and type 2 diabetes, to cross some diagnostic threshold before it really intervenes.
So until the problem is obvious.
Exactly. Attia uses this great analogy for it. He says Medicine 2.0 is like standing under a collapsing building, just trying to catch falling eggs. We are amazing at acute trauma care, catching the eggs. But we fail miserably at preventing the chronic diseases, the eggs from splattering on the ground in the first place.
I see.
So, for instance, we wait until prediabetes becomes full-blown diabetes before we get serious. We've optimized treating the explosion, but we completely ignored the spark plugs that caused it.
Wait a minute. Doctors save lives every single day. I mean, they perform incredible surgeries, they intervene in huge crises. What do you mean they're doing it wrong?
No, you're right. They are heroes at crisis intervention. That's essential. But they're failing us when it comes to the slow deaths. Medicine 2.0 is it's a system designed to treat acute illness in the moment.
Right.
Medicine 3.0, on the other hand, is a shift from those short-term tactics to a decades-long strategic approach.
Okay, so if 2.0 is catching eggs, what does the 3.0 strategy look like?
Well, instead of being a passenger just waiting for the ship to hit the iceberg, Medicine 3.0 requires you to be the captain of your own ship. You're using radar, you're using GPS to steer clear of that disaster years, even decades, in advance. It's all about comprehensive risk assessment, long before symptoms appear.
So give me an example of that.
Okay, so instead of waiting for a heart attack to intervene on high cholesterol, Medicine 3.0 looks at these detailed markers like your ApoB levels when you're in your 30s or 40s.
Hold on, you just dropped some jargon there. ApoB, say that in plain English. Why should I care about that more than my standard cholesterol test?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Okay, let's simplify. ApoB, or apolipoprotein B, it's basically the measuring stick for the number of dangerous cholesterol-carrying particles.
Okay.
The ones that get stuck in your artery walls and lead to plaque and heart disease. The regular cholesterol panel is, a decent estimate, but ApoB is the precise count of the actual invaders.
Ah, I see.
So Medicine 3.0 intervenes then. When the count of those sticky particles is just a little too high, not 20 years later, when the plaque is already blocking 70% of your artery.
So it's studying the meteorology of my body to, build a better roof or a boat, depending on the fortune?
Exactly. It's early, aggressive prevention based on data, not just reaction to symptoms.
So it's not about finding a magic pill. It's about reverse engineering my life based on probabilities, intervening when the risk is low, but the impact is high. That makes a lot of sense. But how do you even start planning for a future that's decades away?
That brings us to one of the most powerful concepts in the book, which is backcasting. It's all embodied in what he calls the Centenarian Decathlon.
The what?
The Centenarian Decathlon. Attia realized that longevity isn't just about, extending the finish line. It's about maintaining full functional capability right up to the end. You have to focus on what he calls the marginal decade, that last 10 years of your life. And you ask yourself, what are the minimum physical things I need to be able to do to be independent at 80, 90, or even 100?
Why can't I just wait until I retire? I mean, I'll have more time then to start exercising.
Because physical decline isn't linear. It accelerates, especially after 60. Your muscle strength declines by 8 to 17% per decade.
Wow.
So if lifting your suitcase or carrying heavy groceries is already a bit of a pain now, it will be physically impossible later.
Yeah.
You're building functional reserve today that you're going to spend later.
Okay.
Just look at the events in this Centenarian Decathlon. These aren't just, gym goals for aesthetics. They're capability goals.
Like what?
Like if you want to confidently pick up a 30-pound grandchild without hurting yourself when you're 85, you need the strength to lift 50 or 55 pounds today. If you want to put your own carry-on luggage into the overhead bin, you need dynamic core stability and grip strength. That means you need to practice things like the farmer's carry now.
I see. I'm training for the Olympics of being an old person. I'm building a buffer against the inevitable decline. I'm training for capability, not just aesthetics, so that one little slip doesn't trigger this steep, irreversible decline.
You got it. That completely reframes the motivation for going to the gym. When we talk about the tools for this training, the book is unequivocal. Exercise is the single most potent longevity drug in our arsenal. It's better than any other intervention for both physical and cognitive decline.
Okay.
And it has to be structured across 3 core dimensions: aerobic, strength, and stability.
Right.
Let's start with aerobic health and focus first on efficiency, which is zone 2 training.
Okay, give me zone 2 again, simply. It feels like the internet is split between, it's an easy walk and it's a medium effort.
Right. Zone 2 is an intensity level where you can still maintain a conversation, but it might be a little strained. It's a pace that's sustainable for a long time, like 45 to 60 minutes. And its huge importance is in metabolic health and mitochondrial function.
Right, the powerhouses of the cell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So think of your body's metabolism like a hybrid car engine. Mitochondria are the tiny energy factories inside your cells. When they're healthy, they're flexible. They can switch between burning gasoline, that's sugar or glycogen, and electricity, which is fat.
I'm with you.
When you train consistently in zone 2, you are physically building and strengthening those tiny mitochondrial engines. You're teaching your hybrid car to unlock and efficiently use stored fat for fuel instead of just immediately relying on the limited, quick-burning sugar supply.
Okay, so basically, walking fast while I can still talk for about 3 hours a week is training my cells to burn fat better, which prevents all the problems that come with chronic sugar dependency.
Precisely. If your body only runs on sugar, that extra energy gets stored in places you don't want it, like your liver, which leads straight to metabolic dysfunction, insulin resistance, and, eventually type 2 diabetes.
Got it.
Zone 2 training is a primary guardrail against the 4 horsemen. 3 hours a week is really the sweet spot for most people to get a significant metabolic benefit.
Okay, so that's efficiency.
Now let's talk capacity. VO2 Max. This is the maximum volume of oxygen your body can use per kilogram of body weight per minute. So if Zone 2 is the efficiency of your car engine, VO2 Max is the size of the life's fuel tank itself.
A bigger tank.
A much bigger tank. It means your system can generate massive amounts of power and use more oxygen to keep everything running, especially under stress, whether that stress is a flight of stairs or a sudden illness.
So why should I care about this specific metric?
Because the data here is just striking. VO2 Max is the strongest single predictor of mortality, period. The least fit 20% of people have a 4.09 times greater risk of dying from all causes than those in the top 2%.
Whoa, say that again.
A 4-fold increase in risk just from being unfit.
4 times the risk. That number is staggering. You rarely see mortality data that powerful outside of smoking. So if that's the most important metric, how do I increase the size of my life's fuel tank? Do I have to run marathons?
Not at all. You train the system through high-intensity bursts, usually once or twice a week. It's what Attia calls Zone 5 training, or HIIT.
Okay.
The goal isn't just to be average for your age. The strategy is to target the elite range for your current age, and then work to maintain the elite range of someone 2 decades younger than you are. That's how you stay ahead of the curve.
Got it. Efficiency, zone 2, most of the time, and capacity, VO2 max training, occasionally to push the ceiling higher. So we've covered cardio. What about that final pillar, strength and stability?
That's all about redundancy and protection. We're targeting sarcopenia, that's age-related muscle loss, and preventing catastrophic injuries. Like we said earlier, falls are lethal for the elderly. If you fracture a hip after age 65, studies show that 15 to 36% of those people are dead within a year.
Wow.
It's not the fall itself, really. It's the immobility and muscle loss that kicks off this cascade of decline.
Okay, so how do you prevent that?
Functional strength, and grip strength in particular, acts as a general proxy for your overall robustness. People in the lowest quartile of grip strength had a staggering 72% higher incidence of dementia compared to the top quartile.
Wait, why on earth does my hand strength have anything to do with my brain? Are they actually connected biologically?
It's less about a direct nerve connection to your hippocampus and more about functional protection and systemic resilience.
Okay.
Grip strength is your ability to grab a railing or a branch and hold on if you slip, preventing the fall in the first place.
I see.
If you have the strength and stability to protect yourself from that initial catastrophic injury, you avoid the downward spiral of bed rest and inactivity that accelerates both muscle loss and cognitive decline. your capacity to protect yourself, determines your likelihood of living an independent life.
That makes perfect sense.
But all of this physical structure, the cardio, the strength, it's meaningless, even dangerous, if the emotional house isn't in order. This is the final and maybe the most essential pillar: emotional and mental health.
Attia is such a serious data-driven scientist. It's surprising that he dedicates so much space to emotions in a book about mitochondria.
He does,
Yeah.
and it's arguably the most critical pivot of the whole book, and it was driven by his own painful personal journey.
Right.
He realized that physical health is entirely hollow without purpose and supportive relationships. Misery and unhappiness destroy physical health just as surely as high cholesterol or cancer, because they are direct mediators of chronic disease risk. When you're chronically stressed, or miserable, or lonely, your body is bathed in stress hormones like cortisol. This promotes chronic, low-grade systemic inflammation, which is the foundational root of almost all of the four horsemen diseases.
I see. Loneliness and emotional distress are direct mediators of cardiovascular and metabolic disease risk?
Exactly. So his realization that he was a blind, selfish, checked-out husband and father, that wasn't just some philosophical moment. It was a physical risk factor.
That's powerful.
It is. And he urges us to focus on what he calls eulogy virtues. So who you were to people, your kindness, your ability to love and connect over your resume virtues, which are your professional achievements.
Right.
You could be the most physically perfect person in the world, but if your relationships are toxic or non-existent, you are accelerating your own death through chronic stress and inflammation. That's Medicine 3.0, applying strategy to your whole life, not just your blood work.
That's a very holistic approach, which is often missing from these high-level longevity discussions. So, okay, if I'm not a professional cyclist or doctor, and I'm just trying to start training for my decathlon today, what are the most effective practical tactics I should adopt right away?
Okay, great question. Let's focus on the most accessible ways to hit those three pillars: aerobic, strength, and stability.
Perfect.
For strength and cardio at the same time, the first tool is rucking. This is just walking quickly with a weighted pack. Attia suggests building up to 50 or 60 pounds.
Okay.
It builds your trunk, your back, and your leg strength while also delivering that critical zone 2 cardio session. It's low impact, high benefit. The source recommends 3 to 4 days a week, often without a phone, to turn it into a mental health break too.
That sounds like a brilliant, simple way to hit multiple goals at once. What about that critical grip strength?
The farmer's carry. This is the simplest way to train your whole posterior chain and your grip. You just hold heavy dumbbells or kettlebells in each hand and walk for a minute or so.
What's the goal there?
The long-term sort of aspirational goal for men is carrying half their body weight in each hand for 1 minute total. So carrying your full body weight divided between your two hands. If you can do that, you have incredible functional reserve.
Wow. Okay, and stability.
Stability starts with controlling intra-abdominal pressure. Attia uses the analogy of a plastic bottle. If the cap is off, you can easily crush the bottle.
Right.
But if the cap is on, you've created pressure and stability, and the bottle is basically uncrushable.
So I need to learn to put the cap on my torso before I try to lift something heavy.
Precisely. That 360-degree abdominal breathing and bracing is the foundation for all safe, heavy lifting, and it prevents injury. You need stability before you load any weight. That's the foundation of your decathlon training.
That makes a lot of sense.
Ultimately, the strategy laid out in Outlive isn't about the pipe dream of immortality. It's about delaying the onset of chronic disease by decades. The goal isn't just to be old. It's to have agency and capacity, to be climbing mountains, playing with great-grandchildren, and traveling the world in those extra years, ensuring your health span actually matches your lifespan.
A powerful way to look at it.
Thanks for tuning in to Nonfiction Insights. See you in the next video. Bye.